Well, welcome to Paulette's Paper Play, and today we have Doodlebug. This is their Butterfly Kisses collection, and there is just so much to play with. Really, really fun. And in fact, there are so many things that you can make with the die cuts, 2 sets, as well as these cute little stickers, as well as these larger stickers. And this is one that I made. I'll be sharing with you. In fact, won't you please come play with us? Okay, before we get into the cards, let me just walk you through the products. So this is the Butterfly Kisses. Now these are, they're covered with like a liquid acrylic because they're shiny, but they are stickers, and there are 32 of them there, just absolutely charming to add. Then we also have these bitty bugs, appropriately named. We've got bees, we've got more butterflies, we have some worms, we have ladybugs, we have a dragonfly, and I thought there was worms. There we go. So all of those, as I said, 18. Then we have 2 of these. Now this is they're called cardstock stickers. And let me see, this one is Ladybug Garden. You can see the ladybug. The other one is Teacup, and it's used on this card. So there you go. And they are, well, they're one piece, but then this one also has 2 extra little hearts. Then we have the die cuts, and wow, are there a lot. 134. This is called odds and ends. So it tends to be the artwork. Okay, so we've got suns, we've got birds, we've got mushrooms, all kinds of things. 134. Then we have chit chat. Now those are the words, and that's what you saw on the Happy Me card to begin with. And so we've got all kinds of words, 109 of those. So you can see, well, you total these up, you've got several hundred items. For papers, we're going to use the papers that we have because that's just going to be easier, and I thought it was really fun. So let me show you the first card that I did, and this is one. And she is on a 5 by 6.5 inch card. And I wanted to use something that really went with the playfulness of the art. And I love the polka dots, and I love the polka dots here. And this is out of the Teacups and Roses, the 12 by 12 pattern cardstock. Now on the back of this sheet, there's a whole sheet of this, which is what I used right here. And that just seemed perfect. So I just cut it to be smaller than my card. I did it a 1/2 inch smaller each way. So this is 5, so I cut this 4.5. This is 6, so I cut this is 6.5. 5 by 6.5, so I cut this piece to be 6 inches. So 4.5 by 6 inches. It works pretty well. It's going to give you a generous mat around the edge. And then to do this sticker, it just perfectly fit into our paper doilies. And as you can see, these are just so useful. And I did just put glue in the center and glued it down. Now, the Just For You, okay, that's going to be in the chit chat because that is a greeting. And you can see it has a little bit of a curve, which I thought worked nicely with the circular piece here. Now, to accent and to complement the doily, I did add the white fancy border dazzles. And I know it's kind of hard to see, but one thing I wanted to tell you is that one of them is a little bit wider than the other. So let me pull this out. Okay, see how wide that is? I did use it. I used it on this side and this side. All I did while it was still on the backing sheet is I put it in my trimmer and cut it in half, just like that. So I've got 2 pieces there, and then I used another design for the top and the bottom. That just worked nicely. Now, it seemed a little bit empty, so I did add some of those little butterflies. In fact, I did that often. And you can see one up here and one down there. So that just worked very, very nicely. Okay, for the inside of my card, so I'm very pink and white on the front. So on the inside, I went a different direction. So I used the paper doily again, put it on my craft mat, and I used the tangerine ink pad with my blender brush, and I just went all over. So I just went, I kind of started thinking I was going to do an edge, And then I thought, well, really, I think that rather than having the white of the doily show, because that's just going to blend in with the edge of that die cut, I just went orange all the way around. And I thought that worked nicely with Thanks a Bunch, because I knew that was orange and I wanted to use that. So again, I just glued the middle of it down, right smack dab in the middle of my card. I put this piece, that's one of the cutouts, the odds and ends, and then Thanks a Bunch is foam taped, and then 2 of those itty bitty butterflies that were there. Very simple, but it's fun to see that lacy look really get a punch with that inking, so that's easy. Okay, the next card is also using the teacups and roses, and this is got a gingham look, and I thought that was great. But I really wanted to do something a little different, and I loved this collection. In fact, I do want to tell you that I took each of these and took a cookie sheet and dumped them out on that, and then I stacked them, because you get multiples of the arches, you get multiples of these little balloons, and you've got other things. Same thing here. You're going to get several suns, several birds, and just stack them. So then I kind of knew what I had, and then you get to playing, which is exactly what I did, to make little scenes. And so this collection really works perfectly for that play. But I wanted to give it a window. I wanted to give it a frame. So, of course, I used our oval and scallop cutting dies, and I did use the largest scallop, and I cut the blue out of it, and then I inked the edges with my blender brush and Air Force blue, and it just, my belief is that it just gives a nice finishing edge, so I really like that. Then I placed all of these pieces, so I've got, this is the birdhouse collection part, and so this is one big piece. This one is glued down. There is a little strip of grass, so that's glued down. I knew where I was going to place him, and then I foam taped this. I foam taped him, and then I glued the hello, and you can see it looks like he's talking. And this going into the bitty bugs, so you will see that. You can see the little bee right there. You can see the ladybug down there. Hope you can see the worm going up to the little bird, and then a butterfly from the Butterfly Kisses. But then it was done, and I just wanted a little bit more. So I went to the crystals, and this is the lemon crystals. And I meant to get the precision glue press. Have you seen that? I know Lene shows it, but this is the first time I've used it. It is wonderful, because you can just squeeze it. It's just easier than squeezing the bottle, and literally just put a drop into every place that you want to have the glue. And I did also use the jewel picker. So let me open this up and just show you that. Then I'm going to have to take a minute and clean it up. So I'm just going to put a few out here. So when you've got this, then you want to bring these out, because these do come in different sizes in the same package. And I did find that the jewel picker, it's got a fat end and a thin end. So I've got the fat end right here. It's just wonderful, because you can just pick these babies up, put them down, the dot of glue will hold it, and then you can just remove the jewel picker and just go right on. It lets you, it's so much easier than doing it with your fingers. It's just great. Highly recommend. And actually, this just had a price reduction, so that's not bad either. There's also a bigger one. So this is double-ended. Then there's a bigger ending one that just came out that we just got. So that finished the front of this card. Let's go into the inside. I did the same thing and did the same inking, but this time, so I really wanted to use all the bird things. So that was my goal. So I have this birdhouse and this little piece of grass. I have this fountain and the Have a Beautiful Day. Those are all glued down. I foam taped the sun. And then I added in these little darling things, because if you've got them, you've got to use them. So the bitty bugs, I've got a snail down here, I've got a worm going up, and then I've got a butterfly up here. Now, if we get really super close, please. Okay, can you see the sparkle on there? And here, and on the cheeks. Now, that is crystal lacquer. And crystal lacquer is one of my favorites because you can just squeeze it on. I also like to control it with a teeny tiny dauber. So I've got water, and it looks like water. And the only trick to using it is be sure to let it dry. So when you do it onto your project, let that stay open and let it dry for a little bit until it's all solid. But so fun. I think it just adds a little bit. And it kind of echoes what's going on here in the shininess of those. But I thought doing, and it's really nice that you can control it into doing the tiny pieces there, like those little flowers and the cheeks of the sun. So, and you can see what a difference those sparkles do. So without them and with them. So it just works nicely. Okay, let's go to another card. So I guess I was into the shapes, but I really wanted to do something different. And I realized that I'd done something that well, okay, let me tell you. So I love the teacups and roses because I thought the art just worked really well. However, we don't have that many of them. So I thought, well, it's really not fair to you to do all 4 cards using a product that we don't have a ton of. So for these last 2, I switched. I switched to Dotted Duos number 2. And Dotted Duos has got, number 2 has got the secondary colors. So it's got pink and orange and teal and purple and a tan. And it's got the bigger dot, the small dots on one side, and let me show, well, it's got bigger dots on the other side, okay? So that's going to work for the last 2. And in this case, I did a couple of things differently than what I normally do. So one thing I did is I wanted to make a circle card because I thought that would work well. You know, kind of the wheels here are circles, the sun is a circle, so it just felt like it would work nicely. So I took my card and put the fold at the top, and I took my circles and scallop die, and I took the largest not scalloped end or piece. Okay, so let me flip this little guy out. So this one, okay. And just want to double check. Okay, so when you do that, you're going to place it so that it's taking all of the space of the card, again, 5 by 6.5, but you want to have it going outside of the fold because you don't want to end up with 2 pieces. You want to have this thing folded. So you just die cut it like that. And so you go ahead and do that first. Then I went into the purple and I die cut a circle out of the purple. So then I've got my circular, well, I've got almost a circle shape here. So then I take this piece and I glue it to the top of it. And that way you're going to have a little bit going outside it, but that's going to give you your complete circle. And that's exactly what you want, okay? And I did ink the edges. And this time I used the violet ink pad, and doesn't it just match beautifully? And so I set about creating my little scene, which is what I've done before. And so I've got the You Are My Sunshine, that's out of the Chit Chat, and that's going to be my horizon line. That's going to be the place where my bicycle is going to roll, okay? So that's there, my little tree. Then the sun is, all of these 3 are glued down. My bicycle with the kitties is foam taped in place, and I liked doing that. Now, using, again, those butterfly kisses and the bitty bugs. So I've got a little dragonfly up there, I've got a snail, and I have a butterfly. So those are just nice little pieces to be able to add. So really cute. And the other thing that's going on here is that there's no purple in my cutouts. And I did that purposely because normally I'm very careful to make sure that the colors are coordinating, okay? So my blue background is matching my blues in here. My pink background is matching the pink here and did double duty because they're both dots. But this time I used a backing color that is not in here. And I kind of like it. I think you've got to be careful doing that, but there's so much white, and of course everything has the white edge, that I think it works nicely with the white dots on this. So I don't know that it would work with just a solid purple, but having that dotted duos number 2 worked nicely. Now for the inside, okay, I went to the teal because I knew I wanted to use this piece. And in doing that, you're going to cut it out again, just like you did, but you are going to trim this edge because that's going to go right next to the score line. So that worked, and I did ink this with, of course, the teal ink pad. So that just, it just does a nice job of defining the edge and making it special. So I had the 3 pieces, the 3 major pieces, and I thought it was cute to have the envelope with the jar full of flowers. And the I love you bunches is being said by our little ladybug down there. This is a small butterfly cutout that has a trail behind it, a flight path. So these 3 are glued down. This is foam taped. Then the bitty guys are right here. Now, I also went back to my crystal lacquer and I put it all over the vase, and you can really see that. So it is self-leveling. And when you put it on the edge, it's not going to go outside of that. It's only going to go where you put it, okay? So just put it down, and like I said, I used the teeny tiny daubers, which I thought I had, but I don't see them on my table, to kind of spread that around. But it also has a needle nose applicator. So I was very pleased with that. And this will fit into our 10 envelopes. Well, I guess you've got the envelope because you're starting out with the 5 by 6.5 inch card, so that's going to work nicely. Okay, I have one more, and that's the one that I showed you at the beginning. And this is in a couple of these last 2 cards, I created a scene. Well, this one, my focal is the Happy Me, and as you can see, I use the teal because it matches in the papers. And did the same thing. I cut it down, so again, my 5 inch, I cut this 4.5 inches, so 1/2 inch less. This is 6.5, so I cut this 6. So 4.5 by 6, it's a pretty good measurement. And then I did ink it, of course, again, with my teal and my blending brush, okay? Then I placed my Happy Me, and I just pulled out these larger die cuts. I used the little bird earlier, but I hadn't used the little critters because I had been so entranced with these little guys that I was using those. So this time I used the larger ones. So Happy Me is glued down. These are all foam taped. This is foam taped, the little frog, the butterfly, the bird, the bee, and the dragonfly is glued down. And so, oh, and the ladybug is also glued down. Now, I wanted to add a little bit of dimension. In fact, I did 2 things. So one thing that I did is I used the precision glue press, and I put dots of glue, and I went into these. This is the, Songs of the Sea. These are the little flowers. They're about 3/8 of an inch wide. There are 60 to 80 in a package. I mean, such a deal. I think they're $2.99 or $1.49, one or the other. And so I just put those dots down, and notice that these have different shades. So that just worked nicely. It matched with my teal, matched with the teal here, and it just gave a little bit of dimension, kind of gave one next to the little frog. Okay, went back to my crystal lacquer. Now I did it in the center of the flowers, my little eyes of my frog, my ladybug, the center of my butterfly, the eye of my bird, and the eyes of my bee, all of those. And I just like it. I just think it finishes nicely. Okay, you want to see the inside? Well, the inside I went with mushrooms. So the orange is in the Dotted Duos #2. And I did ink it with a tiger orange. I hadn't used that before, but it just did a nice job. So I went to the Chit Chat, You Warm My Heart, so that's that little arch. And I just pulled out all of the mushrooms. And because I had put them onto my cookie sheet and I put everything together, so all my mushrooms were in one pile, and I just played with them. And I figured that I wanted my biggest one in the middle, and I foam taped that in place. And then I put the other two, these that just have one mushroom on each side. And notice that this has got dots and dots. It also has plaid, but I thought the dotted just worked nicely. Again, I like the white dots on the orange background. Now here, I did add 2 more, in fact 5 more of the bitty bugs. So I've got a worm, and I've got a snail, and I've got a ladybug, and I've got a butterfly and a bee. Very cute. Yes, I did have a lot of fun with those. Now for my flowers, there's another set, and this is called Boho Vibes. Okay, look at those. I didn't use, well, I did use the pink. I was going to say I didn't, but I did use all the colors. I used the yellow and the orange and the pink, and just clustered them down at the bottom, one on each end to go with the ladybug and the snail, and then some right here. And that just did a nice job. Now, I didn't use any of the crystal lacquer on the inside because I had all of those itty bitty bugs, but I, of course, did use it on the front because I didn't have any of those there. Okay, so teacups and roses, as long as they last. Dotted Duos #2, we have plenty of that, so that will take care of you. But I was really pleased with adding just a little bit of some other things to go with this wonderful collection. So you do have the Chit Chat, you have the odds and ends. So odds and ends are the characters. Chit Chat is, of course, words. You've got the shape sprinkles in the butterfly kisses, the bitty bugs. And you have 2 stickers. This is the one I did not use. So this is the Ladybug Garden. And then we also have the cup of tea, which is this one. Okay, so all of those. Now I do have a money saver for all of these with, I think I put one of the papers with it. So anyway, they're on the right-hand side of your screen. You're going to get a discount if you elect to buy that. And I think this is, I'm thinking this may be the first collection we've had from Doodlebug in quite a while. So their artwork is always like this. It's very, very cheerful, very, very fun. And so that's nice to see. And so it was really fun to play with. There, like I said, there is a money saver. Directions are down below. I've written them out for you. Just click on the card and it will take you to it. You can print them off if you want to. If you are watching us on YouTube, I would appreciate if you would like us, if you would subscribe, then head on over to Paper Wishes because we do have that money saver. We have the instructions, and you know, every week we have 6 webisodes. Yes, almost 1 a day. And so every product that we buy, we do a webisode. Why do we do that? Because you can buy the product and then you can search around to try to find ideas for using it. But we just feel like we want to share ideas with you. We have a very talented group of ladies and want to share that with you. And just that way, when you get your product, you can say, oh, you know, I liked that, but I think I want to do something else. But maybe you spring off of this idea. That's just what we feel we want to do for you. And it's just going to save you time. And the money saver is going to save you money. So it's just a good deal all the way around. I want to thank Doodlebug. It's a great product. And I want to thank you especially for being part of our Paper Wishes family. Actually, we'll see you again tomorrow. Bye-bye.